Hey guys, so one of my favourite things to do with this channel is explaining smaller incidents that almost go under the radar in great detail. It's challenging finding the information, but always so worth it when a video like this comes together. The incident I'm going to talk about today is from the Marauders vs Severus Snape days, the old days in Hogwarts. Specifically, the night that Sirius Black tricked Severus Snape into almost entering the Shrieking Shack, which could have seen Snape killed, hurt, or even infected with lycanthropy. Stick around for a detailed explanation and analysis of what happened that night, and welcome back to the world of Harry Potter. Something that I love about the Harry Potter books is the fact that there's so much backstory, the fact that there's history between older characters, and the fact that the story just doesn't start and end with Harry Potter. There's so much more of a backstory that J.K. Rowling has been able to develop a huge prequel franchise in Fantastic Beasts, which has been monumental in reigniting the hype around the Wizarding world despite its mixed reviews. But I want to talk about the history between characters synonymous with Harry Potter alone, specifically the previous generation, Harry's parents, and those they attended Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry with. Now, it's no surprise that James Potter and Severus Snape had a lot of bad blood between them, so much that it filtered through James and onto Peter Pettigrew, Remus Lupin, but more so Sirius Black. You see, the real animosity was between Severus and James, that's true. They both competed for Lily's affections. James did start a rivalry, he started the feud, he was a bully, we're all aware of that fact. However, James had something Severus didn't, the unwavering loyalty of Sirius Black. Now Sirius, who was taken in by James's parents at just 16 years of age when he had nowhere else to go, theirs was a friendship like no other, meaning anything that bothered James bothered Sirius, anything that affected James affected Sirius, and anyone James didn't like, Sirius straight up did not like. Now this leads to a huge dislike for Severus Snape, and onto the situation I'm going to talk to you all about today, which is the encounter, or the almost encounter, between Severus and an already transitioned Remus Lupin at the Whomping Willow. Now I'm going to explain the situation in detail, and judging from what I've said so far, I hope you can all begin to understand firstly that Sirius Black's motive in setting Severus Snape up was out of complete loyalty to James Potter. He believes that any dig or slight against Snape was only a positive. So let's analyse the situation in further detail. Severus Snape was highly alert. He was attentive to his enemies' moves and whereabouts. It's only natural for him to be that way, as he had to be on his toes due to the previous attacks from the four boys. So for that reason, he began to notice Remus Lupin was absent for several days around the same time each month. He also noticed that the absence coincided with each full moon, leading Severus to believe that Remus was indeed a werewolf. Sirius, also being alert to his enemy's movements, noticed Snape's continuous observation of Remus when it was close to a full moon. Wanting to set him up for some harm at the very least, Sirius decided to trick Snape in the form of what he'd consider being called a practical joke. However, judging by the outcome of the situation that followed, there's not many who consider it in any way a joke. He informed Severus that he knew he was aware of Remus being a werewolf. He lured his rival into a false sense of confidence by telling him this was a highly kept secret, something that went beyond their constant quarrels, that if he wanted to truly see Remus transforming, he could not tell a soul. With Snape agreeing, Sirius then informed him that Remus was always active around the Shrieking Shack, and the best way to get there was through the tunnel by the Whomping Willow tree. Sirius left out crucial information, however, by not telling Snape that Remus actually resided in the shack in full, uncontrollable werewolf form and was a massive danger to anyone remotely close by. Snape, acting under Black's tip-off, indeed followed Remus past the Whomping Willow and began walking through the tunnel. It was only when Sirius had informed James of what he did that the latter rushed to the Whomping Willow tree and through the tunnel to stop Snape before he encountered Remus in full werewolf form. When Snape was made aware of just how close he came to possibly being killed, seriously harmed, or even bitten and infected with lycanthropy, he heavily resented Sirius for such actions. He had always disliked him over the years, and vice versa, but Severus never once intended for Sirius to be at risk of death. This experience, however, really made Snape realise that his existence as a person meant nothing and far beyond it to Sirius Black, and that was a feeling he never forgot. He was even joyous at the news that Sirius had been killed, sparing no sympathy for the man that cared nothing for his well-being. He and James still loathed one another, despite the latter saving him. Sirius never realised the repercussions for what could have been had James not intervened. He could have faced expulsion or even a cell in Azkaban had Snape been killed. He didn't care, however, telling James that it served Snape right, meaning any outcome would have not left Sirius with a guilty conscience. Severus swore secrecy on Lupin's condition to Dumbledore after the matter was quashed, but he never forgot what happened that night. The werewolf incident, or almost werewolf incident you could say, showed that, despite their friendship, there was a huge difference in how quickly James and Sirius matured. The fact that Sirius didn't care if Snape became infected with lycanthropy or even killed is quite alarming. He didn't even consider how his other best friend Remus Lupin would have felt after possibly harming, killing, or even infecting someone, especially as Remus despised his condition and had little self-worth as it is. Can you actually imagine what that could have done to Remus if he had at least infected Snape? He looked upon lycanthropy as a curse. He looked upon it so lowly that he lived a large period of his life in self-imposed exile due to his condition, so the thoughts of ever passing on such a horrible disease to someone else is something I don't believe Remus would ever recover from. Sirius Black was unknowingly sending his friend into a pit of darkness as he was so blind by his hatred for Severus Snape. James Potter's interference the moment he learned of Sirius's actions really showed how far he'd come as a person, and that despite his dislike for Snape, he knew that there was a fine line between a prank like a jinx or a hex and seeing someone become gravely injured at his expense. He also would have been well aware that had any harm come to Severus Snape, Lily Evans would have immediately held him responsible despite his last-minute efforts to help Snape, and would have most likely never spoke a word to him again. Sirius seems to be the last one to escape the immature behaviour that he and the Marauders were so widely known for. He seemed to lack a purpose for some time, and his actions really showed that he was quite a self-centered human being, as he gave such a lack of consideration to everyone else that could have been affected if Severus had have died or even become infected with lycanthropy that night. I honestly believe it was through James Potter's example, the upcoming Wizarding War, and what was truly at stake, that finally seen Sirius Black become the better man we all knew him to be. But the history of what happened that night can't be erased. And everyone, with that all being said, that is my explanation of what happened with Severus Snape and Sirius Black and that werewolf incident, or almost werewolf incident. What I want you to do is to let me know your opinion on the matter in the comment section below, and don't forget my favourite comment will get pinned to the top of the comment section, so guys, make it a good one. Thanks again everyone, and I'll see you all in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. I truly appreciate your support. Everyone, notifications of uploads are more important than ever, so please, if you haven't already, turn those notifications on to make sure you're notified the moment my video goes live. Making videos is what I love to do, it's my dream and my passion. However, it does cost time and money to produce this content, so if you have $1 to spare to support me on Patreon in exchange for some exclusive unseen content, then you can click the Patreon link below or at the end of this video. Please only support me if you can afford it. And make sure to follow me on Instagram at InstaDNJ and on Twitter at PotterFolklore. Check out my other videos appearing on screen, and please make sure, most importantly, to hit that subscribe button. Thanks again everyone, and please have a great day.